our Monday Night Raw review. Again, as I alluded to in that final heat of the night talking point that Ashton had, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar do open the show.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman continues to be, wonderful at what he does. Great energy, everything else gets the crowd into it. I like that he catches him up to speed. For those that may not see Brock Lesnar, because he recognizes Brock Lesnar is not a regular. That's part of what makes him an attraction, kind of connecting everything to the prior conversation. And they showed the video package of what got Brock Lesnar suspended. They cut back, and then Heyman says, well, the condition was that Brock Lesnar had to afford, everybody involved a public apology, and he does so. He shakes
Except for the cameraman, because screw that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Screw him and his family, apparently. But, Brock Lesnar goes over. He shakes JBL's hand, and I like how JBL really sold the tension. He's kind of looking at Brock like, I think I just saw myself, Mogul. But then he goes over to Mogul, and Michael Cole at first is kind of stepping on like, Brock, I'm sorry. Like, he's the one doing the apologizing.
I love that so much. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get in your way. I deserve the F5.
What a prison bitch. But
yeah.
then Brock comes over behind, he grabs Cole and he gives him a noogie. And then he just says, we good? We good? And it's almost like saying, look, if you say we're not, it's going to be worse than a noogie the next time around. And
no, it'll be another noogie, but this time my fist will literally burn your scalp.
Exactly. So Cole says, yeah, we're good. Heyman, kind of mocking a little bit. He's like, oh, has he made his apology to you, Mr. Cole? And it's like, yeah. And then Paul Heyman just, verbally runs down Seth Rollins, saying he's a scumbag, saying, he's a coward, all that stuff. Took the easy way out to get the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But soon he's going to be going to Suplex City, bitch, more or less. So Brock Lesnar will catch up to you, Mr. Rollins, and it's going to be nothing but painful for you. Great promo. I think, again, started out strong the night for Lesnar, and it was a great sell for Battleground. But, so I really can't complain about this segment. High energy, got the crowd into it. It was a great way to really open a show. So I really have no complaints here. It's just a shame how the night ended.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I liked, there were a few different little nuances in this segment that I really liked. When Heyman first said that Brock had to apologize, Michael Cole immediately, under his breath, goes, this isn't necessary. And then JBL goes, it certainly is. I loved that.
That was great.
But then I also loved that Paul Heyman brought up NXT, because that's like an extended Seth Rollins canon that people don't even acknowledge. But the fact that NXT is Triple H's baby and Seth Rollins was the first ever NXT champion, the dots are there to connect.
Right.
I just love that Paul Heyman was the first person to do it.
No, Paul was on fire tonight. I love when he gets that momentum behind his words, and the promo just captivates everybody, even if he's not saying anything new. Just has something about him that just gets me every time. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this segment. Brock was on point as well. He showed that he can have a sense of humor, but it's a very different way, because he's so intimidating that when he does something, seemingly lighthearted, like give another guy a noogie, especially a grown man, there's a comical effect to it. WWE, even you can make good comedy when you put your minds to it, and that certainly got a good chuckle out of me. So yeah, solid.
Yeah, I don't even see that as WWE. I see that as Brock Lesnar improvising.
And in which case, good on you, Brock. Seriously. But yeah, I have nothing more to say about this, so if you want to move on, we can, unless you have anything else you want to say about it.
No, but up next, we had our first match of the night. That was Dean Ambrose versus Kane. We did sort of briefly touch on this already. You already know that Kane won via chokeslam, but it is worth noting that it was a top rope chokeslam, and that Seth Rollins did distract Dean Ambrose, even though Ambrose did manage to neutralize Rollins. Kane won because Ambrose was getting on the top rope, and then he kicked Rollins away, and by the time he turned his attention back to Kane, Kane basically had his throat throttled.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then top rope chokeslam gets the win. I guess that's the only thing, too, I will say, because, again, we always try and put a positive spin on things. I mean, hell, TWitWoW was POP before New Day even knew what it was. That it was a top rope chokeslam that beat Ambrose and not just a run-of-the-mill chokeslam.
Right.
If only it didn't look so bad.
But, I think that's what kind of irked me the most, is that it just looked so weak. Like, Ambrose just jumped off the top rope and rolled through.
Right. And, like, if it had more impact, you know what? Even though it was Kane, I'd be like, WWE, I'm going to tentatively give you a pass on this because at least it was the top rope. Because I just feel like, and you know I'm a Dean Ambrose fan, you're the Dean Ambrose mark, but I feel like I'm loving his story right now is my point. I really wish they would
Yeah,
protect Ambrose
and
more,
I
but
mean, if we're being
I'll get over
completely blunt about it, tonight he was reduced to basically fodder for the Authority storyline.
it. Yeah. I mean, that's really what he was. I couldn't have
Yeah,
said it better.
because the entire point of this match was for Seth Rollins to try and get back into Kane's good graces again.
Right.
It's like, Kane, you're owing $1 million this year, so I'm going to help you get one over on someone important.
Exactly.
And it didn't even matter who the important person was, as long as they actually had a level of importance, which Ambrose obviously does.
Exactly.
All right, so up next, we had Primetime Players taking on the Ascension. I believe that at some point in between these two matches was the segment with Rollins trying to kiss up to Kane, trying to get him to basically, baby, come back to me. And Kane basically just refuses. But that's not really worth talking about. PTP versus the Ascension, though, is because PTP's on a roll, baby.
Oh, absolutely. They're such a great act. Darren Young is solid in ring. I love watching him work now.
Yep.
I think that's the best thing to
You know
come
what,
out of.
dude? Last week I made such a big stink about how awesome his rope running was, and he didn't hit the ropes once in this match.
Yeah, I know. You even said at the start of the match, we're going to see Darren Young hit the ropes, and it didn't happen.
Not once. And he was in this match for, I would say he was even in this match for longer than Titus was, if you look at the amount of time total.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of went awe inside for you when it didn't happen, because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to see him hit the ropes.
Yeah. I even made a gif of Darren Young hitting the ropes. I liked it that much.
He committed to you, Darren. He committed to you hitting the ropes, and he didn't even do it once tonight. What's wrong with you?
Man. Am I going to seriously have to watch frickin' Superstars or something this week?
Oh, God, I hope not. Although, I mean, yeah.
I was going to say, Cesaro took on Luke Harper, so maybe.
Yeah, guys, there's a reference in there between a conversation me and Ash had about Cesaro and Luke Harper, but I won't get into that here.
I will. Cesaro and Luke Harper should face each other in a best-of-5 series, and by the end of it, they become best friends in a tag team.
Yeah! And then they destroy everyone else.
That's right.
But keeping the focus on the tag division, I'm telling you, the best thing to come out of...
Harparo!
Beg pardon?
Harparo!
Well, I'm glad we got that established. The best thing to come out of Primetime Players...
Or Cesarpo.
Cesarpo. The best thing to come out of Primetime Players getting more screen time is I've gotten to see Darren Young, work more, and he is so crisp and so good. Like, you've been saying it for a long time, but I'm really starting to see it. Like, he was the best part of this match to me. As far as Ascension goes, I could go on a whole nother rant about that, but it's not going to change anything. So at least they were here. At least they're still on TV. And the good thing about the Ascension is I genuinely believe, because their look, the moment that WWE would want to put time into them and make them legitimate, it's not really going to take a lot of much of a concentrated effort to turn it around for the Ascension if they wanted to.
One thing that I will say, though, is that with their current look, it would need to be a heel push, because the face paint and the body spikes and that kind of stuff, just you can't. In 2015, you can't be a face and wear that stuff at the same time.
Right. So, we'll see what the future holds with the Ascension, but right now, PTP did win the match after Darren Young hits his double knee gutbuster, which he's calling the gut check on Victor, and he gets the pin. So good stuff. Yeah, I dig it too. And again, they're a really fun act, they're a really fun team. And you and I were laughing at all the people doing like millions of dollars in the audience because it's caught on, and I think it's always kind of been the best thing about their whole gimmick was, you see a lot of people do it. And so yeah, they roll on and they're a fun act, so good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, we had Sheamus versus Roman Reigns. This is actually a really fast transition because while PTP was celebrating in the ring, Sheamus's music hit. And he came out, and as PTP was walking up the ramp, Sheamus was walking past them, and he didn't really even act like they were there, but Titus kind of stared him down as they were passing each other, so I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, this is a really good match, actually. Like, I feel like if Sheamus and Roman Reigns had Japanese-sounding names and were Japanese people and had this exact same match, people would be just jizzing their pants over how amazing it was. Because it was just such a great physical match, but people don't ever give these guys any credit just because of who they are and how they've been booked.
Yeah, I have to admit, it is quite dispiriting to see how negative people can be towards Sheamus when I feel like he's doing the best work of his career. That's a sentiment echoed by you, me, our friend Gordon, like anybody that really has done reviews or that we read seems to think that Sheamus is on quite of a roll. But then you take it to places like Reddit and those other places, and you've told me that they've been very critical. Which is a shame, because I actually really like Sheamus' heel work here. A couple things that he did that I like. Well, two big things that he did. One, his Irish Curse backbreaker, he did multiples of them. He did them in like a trios. He did 3 of them, and then he let Roman Reigns down and went for the pinfall attempt. I like that. That definitely seems more heelish because you're really deliberately trying to break the guy's back and do damage.
Right.
And then the other thing that I liked was at one point he did a decapitator. Like he had Roman Reigns' throat under the bottom rope, and then he kind of slingshotted him in there. And then while Roman was kind of catching his breath, Sheamus took that opportunity to lock in the clover leaf.
Yeah.
I like that. And say what you want. Maybe Kevin Owens is kind of changing my mind about that sort of thing because he was so good about it. He got Headlock City chant. But I like, when Sheamus would also ground Roman Reigns and go for that slower pace. He's a heel. He's not really meant to be exciting. And plus, even if he was babyface, he's a bigger guy. So he's not going to be like an Adrian Neville and razzle-dazzle with, as Jim Cornette likes to say, all that flippy shit. I like the style of match they worked. Probably the one highlight for a lot of people was the way Sheamus countered Roman Reigns' apron dropkick.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, it was just a straight punch to the face, but I'll be damned if it wasn't effective.
Yeah, huge forearm to the face. I liked Roman Reigns' rally towards the end, because he got the dropkick, and then he did like a huge leap, kind of clothesline to Sheamus over the announce table. Like, it devolved into a fight, and I really liked it.
I love that one of Roman Reigns' signature moves is literally just a jumping clothesline. Like, wow, dude. I definitely think that I appreciate your work more than most people on the internet, but you seriously got to diversify a little bit.
I know, man, I know. One day at a time.
It's funny because one day on Reddit, there were people talking about Roman Reigns and his 3 moves of doom, and I was like, hey, man, he's got way more than that. And then I made a list of every move that I feel like Roman Reigns does in or at least tries to do in every match. And it was literally clothesline, jumping clothesline into the corner, Superman punch, apron dropkick, spear.
Right.
And then I had to add a hair flip just because I couldn't think of anything else.
Can't forget about those hair flips. I'm amazed he didn't do it when Bray Wyatt was kind of, hinting at the fact that, like, hey, I've got your daughter in captivity. How stupid do you look for bringing her to work?
Oh, my God. I'm so devastated by this information. But you know what's even more devastating? The hair in my face right now.
And with that, I am now going to struggle to try and finish this TWitWoW. But
seriously, man, have you ever had long hair? It is so annoying sometimes.
Long hair problems, man. I'll never know them, which is kind of tragic for me. But that's not the
point
right now.
You can't even move. And that's the thing. Roman Reigns doesn't put his hair in a ponytail either.
Yeah.
I mean, he just runs around, and no matter what you do, it's going to end up in your face. So I don't blame the man for flipping his hair.
Oh my God, I can't believe this.
Look, man, all I'm saying is there are certain situations where I don't care how emotionally devastated you are. Annoying things don't stop being annoying just because you're emotionally devastated. And hair in your face is incredibly annoying.
And you are now officially the best talker I know because you delivered all of that with a straight face.
That's because it's true.
We didn't get a clean finish to this matchup, or even any kind of finish at all. Screw clean finish. I don't even know. Did Sheamus win? Did Sheamus lose? What does the WWE.com listing say? In fact,
I'm at the point that I don't even handle food anymore without a ponytail.
Are we still on this?
Man, I'm telling you, that hair in the face is devastating.
Oh my God, long hair problems. Yes, we know. Life is so hard for Roman. But he goes to the back, which you go to the back, and well, we already talked about all that in here.
Yeah, we talked about all of this stuff. It's just really, really stupid because Reigns looks dumb. Sheamus looks like a coward. Bray Wyatt looks even more like a coward because he had Reigns exactly where he wanted him. We didn't even get to see him capitalize on it if he did, which I doubt he did, because if he would have, we probably would have been able to see it because they probably would have shown it. But this is me just rambling about nothingness. At the end of the day, we already talked about all this, so let's just move on.
Sounds good. What came next?
Although, you know what? Let's talk about the room, because he goes into this room And Bray Wyatt has this big old shrine set up, just full. It's like a collage of Roman Reigns pictures, but all of the pictures have his eyes and mouth cut out of them.
Yeah. It was a nice image. I like that they tried creating an atmosphere, but again, I just felt like it was missing something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Bray Wyatt's presence,
Yeah.
him existing in this segment.
Not even gonna attack Roman Reigns. Unbelievable. Just
All
gonna
right.
just playing those mind games.
Yeah. So up next, we got a recap of Heyman's promo to open the show, and that transitions into J&J Security helping themselves to coffee. Seth Rollins shows up and, like the dick that he is, asks them to give him coffee, for good old time's sake.
Oh man, Seth, I vacillate between loving your inner doucheness and just wanting you to get it together.
Yeah.
But,
Get it together, Rollins.
Oh man, so yeah, I don't think he gets that coffee because I think J&J are just like so over it.
Oh yeah,
And
they're super duper over it, and then he tells them that he needs them, but it doesn't work because they really don't care. So that's pretty much the end of the segment.
yeah, it is. Never mind.
I love that Lucha Underground does this awesome, overly cinematic stuff, and they basically make mini movies for their backstage segments. In the meantime, WWE's just like, let's just shoot it in the hallway.
Yeah, let's just shoot it by the coffee machine. And honestly, the
One
scary thing,
take,
yeah,
get it
one
right, you're
take.
fired.
Because as Vince McMahon used to say, nothing can go wrong if it's live. I beg to differ.
All right, up next we got Neville versus Kofi Kingston. Quick match. I was expecting this to be a longer match because I've been so convinced that they're trying to build Kofi Kingston for Brock Lesnar on the 4th of July show, which they are actually advertising now, finally, but they didn't even really bring Kofi up. They just said that it was the Beast in the East, which I thought was awesome. But anyway,
Yeah.
New Day got a little bit involved, but then PTP came out to even the odds, but then they got sent to the back for no reason. But then the New Day were like really viscerally trash talking Kofi Kingston or Neville, and they got kicked to the back. Again, doesn't really make any sense considering they weren't touching him. But it didn't matter because once everyone got back into the ring that was actually in the match, Neville got an Enziguri and then a Red Arrow for the win.
Which I called that sequence, by the way, guys.
You did,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the only offensive sequence that even happened in this match that I noticed because the entire rest of the match at the beginning, I was just paying attention to Xavier Woods on the outside.
He is gold. Can I just say, maybe not the MVP, but Xavier Woods was one of the MVPs of this Raw tonight for me.
No, he was pretty much the best thing that happened on the entire show. Him and Ryback.
We're gonna wait, because that's what he said, right? We're gonna call Gravity now.
Yeah, we're gonna call Gravity, Neville. It's gonna remember who you are. Have fun doing the Red Arrow when Gravity remembers your name.
I want us to be best friends with Xavier Woods. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that needs to be a thing. I feel like our lives would be better if Xavier Woods is our best friend.
I mean, between the power of positivity, the amazing trash talk, and Up, Up, Down, Down, his new gaming channel on YouTube, which is amazing, it definitely seems like a natural fit.
Yeah, definitely. But
I'll go ahead and I'll have my assistant handle the call.
Exactly. So you get on that. See how organized this man is? That's why he's the brains of the operations people. But my thing is, here's my kind of, and see, again, I don't know if it's just me or if the product was just that off tonight, but you just sent New Day to the back, and you have Neville get the win, which I think is the right call, because you know how high I am on Neville, and I keep saying consistently, like, I feel like he's one of the best protected kind of, booked NXT prospects going right now. I mean, maybe
and not only that, but they do a great job of really building him up too, because on commentary they talk about like get your DVRs ready and that kind of thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and you can even see people in the audience doing the pose. So like the Altitude Era is catching on. But I love the New Day too, and I kind of wish, like, just to kind of further the PTP New Day story, you could have had New Day come back out immediately because they just went to the back, put the boots to Neville, and then have PTP make the save.
Right.
I still don't
like. Yeah,
but
that
Neville...
almost feels like it would have led to a 6-man tag, and I don't think WWE had the time for that.
Yeah, that's a fair counterpoint. I just think, again, the worst thing I feel about all this is that Neville just feels so out of place right now. Like, they're making him win and they're featuring him on TV, which is great. Like,
But he doesn't have any kind of an actual story.
He doesn't have any kind of an actual story.
He's just getting shoehorned in with PTP.
which makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, I
Well,
guess that was the only
other
thing I
than the
wanted to
fact
point
that
out.
he's also black.
Yeah, yeah. So, I don't have a problem with the outcome of the matchup. I just wish that there was something more substantive at the other end of the rainbow, so to speak, for Neville, except, maybe just another random thrust you into the story kind of thing, because he deserves
Right.
better.
Yeah.
So,
So up next, we had a promo for the new TV show on USA Network, Mr. Robot, which looks good, but it's on Wednesdays, so basically it just doesn't exist in our planet.
This is your life now, TWitWoW. Wednesdays where everything happens.
I wanted to see the ROH too.
Yeah.
Maybe in September. Oh, who am I kidding? Nothing ever works out the way I want it to.
Oh my god, that admittance, though.
I just can't. I was going to say maybe in September ROH will move to a different day, and then in October we'll get Lucha Underground on Tuesdays, but everyone knows that's not going to happen. I mean, no, in my luck, they'll just move Raw to Wednesdays to make everything hell.
Right. Oh, man. So what came after this? After the promo for Mr. Robot, that is?
King Barrett versus Zack Ryder.
Oh, thank God for this match.
Yeah, I mean, Zack Ryder, man, say what you want, but this dude, in every match that he gets on Raw, he gets his shit in.
He does. Like, even that broski boot, when Barrett rolled out of the way, he pretty much got a modified version of the outside, and he's just like, come on! And pretty much Ryder's way of saying, you are not going to stuff my offense. You know how rare this is for me?
Yeah.
But thankfully...
This is the only way I can possibly get over.
Exactly. Thankfully, Barrett gets the win after a bull hammer while Ryder straddled on the top rope. And the crime here is that I have to say thankfully to Barrett in comparison to Zack Ryder in 2015. Huge problem. I mean,
that's funny because I think that the crime here is that we didn't get to see a beautiful Zack Ryder 450 again.
Yeah, see him miss it, you mean? So that we could get another Jim saying, well, you tried. Because that had me in stitches the first time. Literally, it did. It was hilarious. But, I mean...
Don't say literally unless you were actually wearing stitches.
Well, maybe I was, man. Maybe my stomach opened from laughing so hard. You know my issues. Yeah, R-Truth has such... I guess a grasp on Barrett's life. He took Barrett's screen-and-screen promo.
Yeah, dude, I had so much to say about that too, because when it happened, I was like, normally we have people cut screen-and-screen promos during their own entrances, but Bad News Barrett isn't nearly interesting enough for that, so we're gonna have R-Truth do it instead.
It's so bad, because, I do like R-Truth, and I like what he does, but... I wouldn't like him as a consistent fixture as much as I would like Barrett being. I feel like R-Truth and what he's doing now and where he's at in his career, he's good in those small doses, those mini programs. The fact that he's interacted this long with Barrett, I think has just been really a detriment to Barrett. And it just continues to make the King of the Ring look like a joke. If I ever sound excited for a future King of the Ring tournament, I give anyone listening full license to punch me in the face and remind me of this atrocity. Because that's what this is, an atrocity. He's probably going to lose to R-Truth again at their next matchup, which is presumably at Battleground. It's bad.
And here's my thing, even if he does beat R-Truth, it's too little too late.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, well, it's about damn time he beat R-Truth. Why didn't he do that 2 pay-per-views ago?
Exactly. R-Truth isn't a kind of name where if, you beat him, especially after overcoming such a deficit in losses, it's like a huge deal when we rally around you. First of all...
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is that, if R-Truth was picking up wins left and right against people other than Bad News Barrett, it might be a big deal. But the fact that R-Truth has literally wrestled 2 matches in the last month, both of which were against Barrett and both of which he won, it's not really building up anyone's credibility. It's just making Barrett look like crap.
And not only that, I mean, again, Ashton, I'll have to see if you agree with me or not, but I feel like, again, it goes against basic sensibilities of storytelling, because I feel like that story of, I have to prove myself against this guy is more for a babyface that's struggling and not necessarily
right. Yeah, that too.
Unless it's a babyface that becomes obsessed with it, and obsession is a great attribute to give to a heel, as was the case of the Eddie Guerrero-Rey Mysterio story, because Eddie could not beat Rey, and then he turns heel because of it, because he's growing obsessed. Bad News Barrett isn't obsessed with R-Truth. He's irritated with R-Truth.
Yeah.
A clear difference.
Yeah. R-Truth is the cockroach of Bad News Barrett's life.
Exactly, exactly. It's just it's so bad, and it's a shame because R-Truth really is so good. He is like it's nothing taken away from him, but how does this help Barrett?
Yeah.
And that's my thing. So it's whatever. He wins
Like I
the
said, it would help Barrett if R-Truth is picking up wins left and right against everyone else, but the fact that he's really only beaten Barrett, it doesn't make anyone look particularly good, and it makes Barrett look bad.
right. So
All
let's see.
right.
Yeah,
Up next, we had a recap of Michael Cole's sit-down interview with Kevin Owens. This was pretty good. Owens' delivery, man, he's such a great sociopath. Like, he makes Dexter look like a sentimental, bipolar human being.
yeah,
Like,
and
there is nothing there as far as emotions go. It is just flat. I mean, Hideo Itami gets mugged in the parking lot and he just walks by and, oh, that's a shame. Like, it's just nothing. He
yeah.
shows no emotion whatsoever. And it seems like the only time he ever raises his voice is in response to somebody else raising their voice to mock them.
Exactly. And that's kind of my thing. I love that Kevin Owens is the type of heel. Again, I think I said this on the last Raw TWitWoW. I love that we've got a heel that really has no problem rationalizing his every single action. Like
Right.
that's so refreshing to me. And he owns up to it, but he owns up to it in his way. John Cena, it was disrespect. He was trying to hog the spotlight. Machine Gun Kelly, well, I was provoked. And I love it because, like, when I'm watching it, knowing how I kind of feed off of heels like Adam Cole and now Kevin Owens, like, I can get into it so deeply and just really enjoy it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Kevin Owens was right. He was provoked. And
Yeah.
I can just really enjoy the crap out of it. So
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is really doing it for me right now.
And then what I really love too is that he's basically just saying the same thing over and over again. Like, even in this sit down interview, all he really says is that, everyone might see John Cena extending his hand as a sign of respect, but I saw through that. I guess you didn't. I guess everyone else didn't, but I see through it. I know that he's just trying to steal the spotlight for himself. And he's said this before, but the fact that he's not really changing his story just because he's in a more intimate situation sitting down with Michael Cole, and Michael Cole expects him to completely, just like turn himself inside out and be like, listen, Michael, it's really just because I'm super self-conscious and I just wanted to prove that I belong. No, he is Kevin Owens and he does not give a single crap.
He did it for his family, damn it.
Exactly.
All right, what came
Just
after
ask him.
Yeah, exactly. What came after this?
John Cena, actually. So he comes out. To sum up his promo, he basically just said Kevin Owens is a great wrestler, but he's a garbage human being. That's about it. And at first he did say that he was going to refuse to not. Let me kind of backtrack a little bit. He thought about not accepting Kevin Owens' challenge, but he refused to not accept it because as soon as he doesn't accept it, it makes the U.S. title meaningless in his mind.
Right.
So that's when Kevin Owens shows up and acknowledges that he's been called all kinds of names. He's been called out of shape. He's been called a slob. Cena just called him a dirtbag. And at the end of the day, he might be all those things, but he also beat John Cena in Elimination Chamber, and he wants the U.S. title. So, I loved this because he goes full blown, do not give a crap. You're going to boo me no matter what I do, so I might as well give you even more reason to do it. And he straight up said, just so that everyone cheers the hero and boos the evil foreigner. And then he goes into speaking French, and nobody translated. He didn't say, and for those of you that don't speak my language, this is what I just said, blah, blah, blah. No, he just spoke French for a solid, paragraph and a half. And then he said, so Cena, what do you say? And Cena responded with saying, oh, I speak a little French too. And then he literally said in French, I speak a little French too.
How did you feel about John Cena replying in a litany of languages? Because
No, that's the thing. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
He literally just said in French, I speak a little bit of French too.
Right.
And then in Chinese, he said something about how I am the champion, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I think it's kind of corny. And it's one of those things where it really does just play into this whole idea that John Cena is a phony. Because, sure, he knows how to say, I can speak a little bit of French in French. But the Chinese thing, you can just tell that's literally just one line that he memorized from their last tour in China. It's a press conference mentality, and it's just so typically John Cena.
Well, I mean, I agree with all your points, so it's not a matter of contention. But I would add on to that, like, I didn't really care for the fact that he kind of took that from Kevin Owens. Like, that was Kevin Owens' thing, and then you take it from him and you take it one step further, I guess,
Yeah,
trying to
but
outdo
Kevin
Kevin Owens. And
Owens
that
used
was
it to get heat. Kevin Owens used it in a way that got him heat because he went
right.
on and on and on in French. And then Cena used it in a way that almost made it seem like, oh, look at this. The babyface is smart too. He's a good guy and we like him and he's smart too.
But, but I think my thing is, like, if you look at the context of these promos, and like, I did miss a little bit of it because I was preoccupied with something else, so maybe I'm missing a crucial point here. But it almost seems like Kevin Owens came off as the babyface in this scenario because here's the thing: John Cena pretty much said that Kevin Owens was a scumbag. Like, he's a great wrestler, but he's a scumbag human being. Kevin Owens comes out, not liking that the fact that his name was slandered, and he said, that's the difference between you and me, John. Like, I don't let names get to me. I don't let other people's opinions get to me. You crave their acceptance. I don't. I care about winning titles. To me, that's a babyface mindset.
No, that's not. That specific mindset. I don't think is one way or another. I think that's a very neutral mindset to have. You can use that as a heel or a babyface.
Well, I mean, okay.
And I think that in the context that Owens was using it was a very heel thing.
Okay, well, maybe I'll even grant you that. But still, like, it comes off an interesting way to me that John Cena resorts to name calling, and Kevin Owens is like, well, I don't care about that because I beat you at Chamber. Like, he has the facts on his side, Like,
Well,
I beat you at Chamber.
but John Cena
beat him at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, you still have to resort to the name call. You could just be like, and I beat you at SummerSlam, and you couldn't handle it.
Well,
whatever.
I think that's just. I don't think that's necessarily them trying to make Cena look like the bad guy. I think that's just them trying to get over how much hatred Cena feels for Owens.
I don't think they ever try and make Cena look like a bad guy. I don't know. Just sometimes, man, when he interacts with heels, I'm like, I don't know, this guy's looking better than you right now to me. But
no, and normally I feel the same way as you. Like, even with the Rusev thing, I thought that Rusev was more of a babyface than Cena. But in this case, I think that they're handling it, and even I would go as far as to say Cena and Owens individually are handling it well to make sure that Cena is portrayed as the good guy.
Right. I mean, this was a solid. Again, like the mid-card scene, both Cena and Owens and Ryback, Big Show, and Miz, are really. I think
what, dude? Cringe if you will, but Miz is eating the pin in this, and you know it.
Yeah, and that's the saving grace here. But keeping it on Cena Owens just as a closing point, I think another thing I like too is that as far as we know, the third matchup is just going to be another wrestling match. No special stipulations or anything. And I find
but the U.S. title's on the line.
But the U.S. title's on the line. But I really like that it's just going to be another straight wrestling matchup because we've already gotten established as a precedent in the first two matches that Owens isn't going to throw a match out in a fit. He's not going to let Rage overtake him. And now with the U.S. title on the line, which Kevin Owens says he wants, and I loved how Kevin Owens put over the U.S. title here, where he said, because it's important to you, now I want it, because for him it's about hurting John Cena and making the U.S. title not a symbol of like national excellence or any kind of excellence, but his own excellence. Really loved how Kevin Owens talked about the U.S. title here. Yeah. So that he's guaranteed, to play it straight for a third time, especially with stakes that he's personally vested in, championship gold. And I love that, we don't need any kind of external stipulations like, last man standing or this, that, or the other. It's just going to be another wrestling match. These guys going out and trying to prove each other. I think it keeps that whole idea about, pride and who the better man is, intact. So I really do like that. I just kind of wanted to put that out there before we moved on.
All right. That being said, then, let us move on to our next segment, which was a backstage segment. Very smooth transition. We go from Kevin Owens to the Authority watching Kevin Owens, and you hear Stephanie McMahon say, I think he's getting under Cena's skin. So they're paying attention to Kevin Owens, and the WWE is going out of their way to make sure that we know that.
Right.
Rollins is with them, though, and he brings up Kane and J&J Security. And what I love here is that Triple H says, screw him at first. And Rollins kind of gives him this look like, what are you talking about? And Triple H, basically, at first he kind of explains to Seth that we know that you're scared and you should be scared because if you weren't scared of Brock Lesnar, we'd be even more worried about you. But then he proceeds to literally cut a promo about Seth needing to apologize. I don't mean cutting a promo as in just like talking like, Seth, you need to apologize. No, he goes into full Triple H promo mode. You need to apologize, Seth, and what you need to realize here is, like full on Triple H cerebral assassin cutting a promo about how much Seth Rollins needs to say he's sorry.
Right. Yeah. I was cool with it because I'm liking the interactions between Seth Rollins and Triple H. Did I feel like it was a bit much? Definitely. You could have saved so much time here. But I do
Yeah,
like how.
I mean, imagine a wrestling backstage segment where the Authority's watching Kevin Owens. Steph says, "I think he's getting under Cena's skin," and then Rollins brings up Kane and J, and Triple H says, "Screw him." Rollins just like, "What?" And he's just like, "Look, man, you're afraid of Brock Lesnar, and I get it. You probably should be. He's horrifying. But if you really want them back, just apologize." And fade to black.
Yeah, cut to next thing.
Yeah, seriously, why do we need Triple H to cut a 5-minute promo on apologizing?
But this is another reason why I am so sick, it seems, with every, Authority champion. There's only been two, Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, but, these freaking power plays. Either be on the same page or don't. Because I honestly don't care anymore. It's funny because I do still like the Authority. They still have their moments. But, man, I don't even know if it's worth it to go through all this crap.
But, John, you need to understand, they've got to test their guy to make sure that he's their guy. If they hadn't tested Randy Orton so much, they never would have found Seth Rollins. And now they're testing Seth Rollins so that they can eventually find Kevin Owens.
And see, that's the only reason I don't even know if I want Kevin Owens to be a part of the Authority, because they'd be just freaking testing him too. I beat John Cena in my first match. What more proof do you need that I could get it done?
Well, we would really like to see if you can beat, the gauntlet of Big Show, Mark Henry, Ryback, and we're bringing back the Great Khali for one night only.
Yeah, and then if you're Seth Rollins, and I think I've brought this up before, but it's worth repeating because I feel like it's been a while. If you're Seth Rollins, I think you have a right to be a little miffed because, hello, you only got to put me in this situation because I got you your jobs back. And it's like, Seth, this is your time. We're going to find out if the Colt turns to dust or die. Shut up, Hunter. You only get to talk to me from that high.
And by the way, Triple H, that's not how Cole actually works.
Well, thank you for that, but more to the point, it's like, you don't get to speak
if
to me.
That was how Cole worked. Everyone would go find a lump of coal and squeeze it really, really hard.
What's sad is he's right. But, it's like there's no point to it. I gave you the pulpit that you're speaking, down to me from. Yeah. And you're just putting me in all these tests. I feel like I proved my loyalty when I stubbed my neck out, when I threatened another man's life, which, if we're really to think too much out of kayfabe, could have resulted in me getting sued out the ass for you to get your jobs back. And now you're still freaking testing.
Man, Edge is too cool to be suing people and using legal action.
Yeah, man. Edge doesn't believe in lawyers. But, still, it's like
fists.
I feel like that relationship has been tested and proven, and we're still doing this crap. I'm really over it. I gotta be honest. I'm just really over it. I don't even really know what to say. Let's just get through Battleground and I guess see what happens then. But the Authority, I'm starting to think they should have just stayed dead, after Survivor Series, because, how much longer are we gonna put up with this? What's the end game now? If the whole Sting thing kind of went south, who's gonna step up now down the road and end it? Maybe a Shield reunion? Maybe?
Oh my God, yes, please.
I don't know, though.
That would be so perfect.
Anything else you want to say about this?
No, but there's not really anything I want to say about the next segment either, because it was the Divas tag match.
Yeah, can we just skip that?
Yeah, up next we have... Well, no, you know what? There's another stupid thing up next. You think about... pro wrestling fans on the internet making really poorly put together, stupid, nonsensical mashups of movie trailers with a certain superstar, and that seems viable. But when you see it on WWE television, that's when your mind really gets blown, because apparently intern number 7 in Stamford decided to put together a little video package mashing up the new Terminator Genesis trailer with Roman Reigns clips. I get that you want Reigns to look strong, but what the hell does he have anything to do with Terminator Genesis? And especially when you get back from that clip to see Brock Lesnar and Michael Cole says, "Oh, and there's our resident Terminator right there."
I don't know. I was so confused the entire time. Like,
Well,
what is that?
it was made worse by the confusion caused by the fact that we didn't know who to cheer for in the Divas tag match immediately before this.
Yeah, these two segments together, yeah, they're really a recipe for irritation. I'll say that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Holy crap.
So we go from the Bella Twins, who proved themselves last week to be super heels, to
Right.
and they're acting like baby faces, and Tamina trips over a ref, which was that intentional or wasn't? It doesn't matter, because I bet that even if it wasn't, the WWE is gonna do their magic and work their hindsight and rewrite history and make it seem like it was totally intentional.
Is the referee going to come out with the Bellas next week in Bella garb, representing that Bella brand?
Oh yeah, I mean, along with Alicia Fox, and maybe they'll add another diva to their stable.
Oh God, please not Emma. Please leave my wife out of this. Please.
No, I was thinking maybe Cameron.
Okay, good. You can have her. Yeah.
But then we go from that to Roman Reigns looking strong, intertwined with Terminator Genesis trailer. I just don't know.
Which, why bother doing that after the night he's had tonight?
Yeah.
Like, and the program he's in
Because
right now.
he needs to look stronger.
Yeah, look stronger by being smarter, taking care of your child.
Well, I was even going to just bring up, can we please establish the fact that even that commercial where he's playing I'm a Little Teacup with his daughter, the pose that he does where he like flexes his arm to be the little teapot with the handle and the spout, literally, in the most literal sense, makes him look strong. The WWE is so freaking meta right now.
I know, dude. I don't even know what to say to it all anymore. I was so confused following these two back-to-back segments, and as a viewer, I should never be confused about it. It should be.
But you know what?
Thursday.
It was pure confusion, and it was terrible. But then we got into something really good: Mark Henry versus Ryback with Big Show and commentary. That sounded sarcastic, but it actually wasn't.
It wasn't. And let me just take this opportunity to say, I am loving Ryback as Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, he's so good, and his promos have even gotten better. His in-ring psychology is on point. His work is really good right now, and I would even say that this is doing wonders for Big Show, because I'm finding myself interested in him again, too.
Well, definitely, because he's finally found somebody who, I mean, even though he doesn't see Ryback as a worthy matchup, given what would happen, later in the night, which we'll get to, it really is like two big guys going at it. I mean, for God's sakes, Ryback's nickname is the Big Guy.
The Big Guy taking on the Big Show. Put it on the marquee.
But, heel Mark Henry is always great.
Is in seats.
Exactly. Heel Mark Henry is always great. At one point he screams at Ryback, I guess after overpowering him in the corner, "Feed me!" I love you so much, Mark.
I don't remember saying that. All I remember him saying was that I run this place or something like that.
He said that, but before that he said, "Feed me."
Wow. Dude, heel Mark Henry with his in-ring trash talk was the highlight of 2011 SmackDown.
Him and Kevin Owens need to be a tag team, even if it does end with Kevin Owens, tagging Mark Henry at one point. Mark Henry just looking at him, "You tagged me like you didn't know me." Like, worth it.
They don't even wait. That's just the first match with them as a tag team that happened.
Yeah. But, keeping the focus on Ryback, like, there seems to be a different energy with him in the ring now that he's got a title. I mean, he ended this match with a top rope splash.
It was so good. You almost have to wonder if he did that because Mark Henry didn't feel like taking the shell shock bump.
And that could be, but I feel like from a storytelling perspective, it's also smart because even though we know that Ryback can shell shock the Big Show at Money in the Bank. Beg pardon?
He doesn't need to now.
He doesn't need to now, and it's especially relevant because, he couldn't hit it at Money in the Bank, so now he has a backup plan. Yeah. I mean, plus the meat hook, which, my God, that's beaten guys before. So Ryback is looking
Hasn't that beaten Big Show before?
It may have beaten Big Show before.
It was either Big Show or it was Mark Henry, but it was one of those two guys that he just could not get up for a shell shock, so he had to use the meat hook to beat him.
Right. But yeah, I do think it was Mark Henry the more I think about it. Yeah. So yeah, he's adaptable. He confronts all these challenges. He walks away with his Intercontinental Championship. Then Big Show comes in, and he's talking trash. Like, Mark, you had it. You know, what's going on? Mark shoves Big Show. Now, I thought Big Show was going to hit a knockout punch.
But no,
to
Big
Mark
Show
Henry.
just walks out and tells the crowd to boo themselves.
Yeah, pulling an R-Truth. You know, a heel R-Truth, a little Jimmy in tow.
R-Truth was so much more entertaining, though, because when he said it was, y'all should be booing yourselves. Big Show, they're boo, and he just goes, oh, boo yourself.
I think he's so over his own career.
I think Big Show is literally becoming a Jewish grandmother.
Oh, man.
Oh, boo yourself, would ya?
But then Ryback's awesomeness continues because he cuts a backstage promo, you know, with JoJo handling the microphone.
Yeah, she's awesome. She looked so tiny in this.
I think what Ryback does so well with his face promos in particular, he knows how to make himself relatable despite being a larger-than-life kind of character.
You're bringing up Ryback. I'm still stuck on the fact that JoJo looks like she's literally 4'0" in this segment.
Yeah, well, I mean, compared to Ryback, I'm sure, you know, most people do. At least most people of, like, average height.
Ryback's like 6'1". He's not that big.
Yeah,
JoJo's head came up to his belly button.
Yeah, she's really short. But, you know, still so adorable.
I wonder if she's a certified dwarf. Or if she was standing in a wide stance like Tom Phillips always has to do because he's like 6'2".
That's probably it, because if Tom Phillips is doing it, probably everybody's doing it. But, you know, again, I like that Ryback's got this larger-than-life kind of persona, you know, feed me more, this big guy. And yet he makes himself so relatable because he relates the Intercontinental Championship to his parents.
Oh, yes, this was so good.
I'm telling you, dude, it's like you said earlier, Ryback's promo cutting has gotten so much better. And I think he's starting to get how to forge an intimate relationship with the crowd because he says because of this Intercontinental Championship, my parents were able to come together after they hadn't spoken in 15 years and watch me compete. And he says this Intercontinental Championship means everything to me. I'll take on, you know, two men. I'll take on the whole locker room. Hell, I'll take on the whole world.
And the big guy is here to stay.
Exactly. He was so good here. I believe him as Intercontinental Champion. Yep. I'm telling you.
I tell you what, man, I love Daniel Bryan, and it would have been great to see him get a good run with the IC title, but given the circumstances that he has to deal with, I am so glad that Ryback is our Intercontinental Champion right now.
Definitely.
He's been one of the highlights of every show that he's on for me.
Oh, definitely, because Sheamus, the guy that really was a threat to win it, he's doing, well, I guess you could say, by all technicalities, better things with the Money in the Bank, because that has world title implications, and Ryback, I think, is right where he needs to be. I think this is really what he's needed to raise his stock again, to maybe get back to that, you know, kind of overplace that he was a few years back, if not even more so, because now he's got more of a character, he's more personable, rather than just a guy that just wrecks shit.
An organic build.
Exactly. You know, I honestly, and I say this with all the sincerity in the world, if they handle this build right and they really give him this run and have him, you know, take it to Big Show, which they did a great job in the segment here, which we'll get to in a segment, you know, I could see him if Brock would ever turn heel again within this 3-year run, which I have to imagine is inevitable. You know, I could see Ryback standing toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. Hell, after the events of tonight, why shouldn't I be able to believe it? So, you know, Ryback's future,
I think Ryback and Brock Lesnar is like a dream match almost at this point.
Definitely. And I can totally buy it. And Ryback, I hope people give him, whether it's during his reign or long after it, I hope they give him the credit that he deserves because he is doing right by that belt, and I think he's doing some of the best work I've ever seen from him. So good for you, Ryback.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, we had our main event match of the evening, that being Adam Rose versus Dolph Ziggler. We already addressed this, though, in our Heat of the Night. So if you guys want to know our thoughts on it, rewind. Or if you listened to it already, you already know our thoughts on it.
Absolutely. But Ashton, real quick, before we get to the main event segment, you don't want to talk about Big Show and Ryback's backstage altercation?
Oh, Ryback, I thought we already did. Yeah, I guess, Ryback was cutting that promo and then Big Show shows up. Ryback basically tells him that he's all talk and no action. And they brawl. Show gets the upper hand briefly. And then Ryback reverses and throws Big Show into, for some reason, the WWE just always manages to keep a bunch of steel pipes in the backstage area. And Ryback finds them and throws Big Show into them.
Isn't that weird how they do that? Just always seems like the backstage area is the weirdest stuff.
It's
But yeah,
almost like it's not a coincidence.
yeah, right.
It's almost like this wrestling stuff is scripted or something.
You hush your mouth.
I know.
But
Blasphemy.
love that Ryback got the upper hand here. I will say that. Really making him look strong right now. So now, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Just want to see if you had anything to say about that. So now I guess we can move on to our next segment.
Well, not really, because our next segment, like I said, we've already talked it to death. So after that was, again, we've kind of talked this to death too. J&J Security and Kane are in the authorities' office explaining why they don't want to help Seth Rollins anymore. Jamie Noble explains, guys, seriously now, J&J is like Yoda. And then Triple H tells them all just to hear Seth out because he's obviously so insecure about himself going into this Brock Lesnar match that he's reaching out to them like this. So they do. They go out. Rollins apologizes. We aren't really sure what's going to happen until Brock shows up. And when he does show up, Kane attacks him. So now we've got our answer. They're back with Rollins, I guess. From what I understand, when Brock drove Jamie Noble into the barricade, it legitimately injured him. That's why he didn't return for the rest of this beatdown, because he was being tended to. And after the show, he ended up getting stretchered out, and they were giving him oxygen and everything. So yeah, he's in not great shape. We'll give some kind of an update if we can find one, but until then, hopefully Jamie Noble got treatment quickly and is fine now. But yeah, basically the rest of this segment was Kane, Seth Rollins, and Joey Mercury beating the crap out of Brock Lesnar, which is a few words that I never thought that I would say in 2015.
A few words you shouldn't have to say in 2015, but you giving that update, I do just want to say I really hope Jamie Noble's okay, because it's one thing to be stretched out, but then you mentioned oxygen, that's got me a little concerned, but hopefully he'll be all right.
Yeah.
As far as the segment goes, it's whatever. We already talked it to death. You clearly didn't like it. I really didn't like it either. There's not even really any kind of backwards justification I can give for all of this. Let's just get past Battleground, because now the whole interest, the whole selling point of the main event, I feel like has completely changed. Now it's Brock Lesnar having to overcome something, and it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I really have nothing more to say about it, because we really had it out in heat of the night. So unless you have anything to say, we can get on to our next segment beyond the review. So
go.